sing so quickly together because I thought his brother was leaving tomorrow. And looking back, I probably would have put out another week. But anyway, we are here, and tonight we're gonna do a celebration of life for Brian. It's Brian's style. That's why I wear something so bright and cheer and happy, because that's how Brian is. He's always happy, and Brian does it his way. Everything. He wants to live the way he wants it, and I don't want anyone to be sad, Brian. I will tell you guys later the whole thing, what happened and all that a little later. But I wanted to tell you that Brian went out on the top. So drink up and happy and be merry. And yeah, cheers to Brian. Normally when I get a microphone, Brian would yell at me. He said, "You talk too much, get off the microphone." But guess what? Brian's not here. I'm going to talk because I want to talk about Brian. Oh, he's there. I see it. He's yelling at me right over there. But anyway, I want to introduce somebody who's really, really dear to Brian. We bought this house in 2002 in August, and we love this house so much. While we were closing escrow, we drove by the house almost every day, and we stopped by, and the guy said, "Get out of here. It's not your house yet." And we have so many great parties together. We have such amazing memories just because our friends, Andy Hill, and he's been our friend since 2002 and forever, and this is Brian's best friend, Andy. Wow.
I met Brian Gillis, I thought it was about 2003, but maybe it was 2002. There was some dispute about that. It was after a MoveOn.org presentation which dismantled the pretext for the war to come in Iraq. As a master of misdirection and the ruse, I like to believe that he could recognize one when he saw it. And my world expanded by an enormous measure. There are only a few people in my life about whom I can say this. There is my life before Brian Gillis and my life after Brian Gillis. In the few days since he's passed away, I've been making a mental list of the people I know who I would never have met if it weren't for Brian, and the places that I've been. And a lot of you are in the room now. I know Andrew Goldenhirsch is going to be here, Pop Hayden, a whole lot of you. Sisuephan, his magic partner, stands like a colossus in my life from 2004 to 2010. And my girlfriend Lorna, who is on a family vacation right now and is so sad that she can't be here with all of you to say goodbye to a man that she loved. Now, whether Brian was performing for a TV show or for a client who was paying him thousands of dollars, or an off-the-cuff performance for a table of two, he delivered with the same deft brilliance, the same love of the craft, the same sense of humor, the same joy at being able to bring a moment of wonder to his small corner of the world. That's what a professional entertainer does. When he left the house in the evening, he would check his pockets for 8 things. And those pockets contained a whole world. Brian and Sisuephan became among the most important and influential people I would ever meet. Performing alongside them and traveling with them are among my greatest memories, and I'll miss that. They're the reason that Renee and I were able to travel to China and perform to the largest audience of our lives. It was always a particularly bright feather in our cap if Renee and I could get Brian to perform at one of our shows, to punctuate an evening of music with shrieks of laughter and sudden joy and surprise at Brian's craft was as much a gift to us as it was to our audience. To a large extent, working with Brian and Sue, combining our resources taught Renee and I how to put together, to produce complicated shows with lots of moving parts. Brian helped us become better at our craft. And working on those events made us close friends very quickly. And that friend is who I miss now. My gym partner, my partner in vocabulary tapes, the guy with whom I would share Eckhart Tolle's wisdom in times of darkness and struggle. The guy who taught me it was important to know a lot of jokes. The tiger and the gorilla. Little Johnny. Hi, Keith. Moon River. Yeah, strike a chord with anybody. And the guy who always championed me in my particular artistic field. I've thought about this a lot since Brian died. I say this, I hope, without arrogance, but with the appropriate humility and a sense of surprise that this recipient felt at the treatment. But Brian treated me from the very beginning like a star. And since he's passed, it's dawned on me that he treated every performer who came through the walls of the Redondo Castle in whatever discipline, from the heights of people like the amazing Jonathan to working entertainers like myself, with the same heightened respect. He literally opened his doors to us, saying, when you're in Los Angeles, come live with me in my castle. And even at our lowest lows, and Brian and I have those in spades, we never stooped to that egregious and cowardly level where one of us, just to hurt the other, might have said, I don't like your act. Never happened. On the one hand, there is solace in that our feelings for one another were mutually articulated over the years, right up to the recent past, and nothing was left unsaid. And I'm so thankful that I was able to see his show during his final run at the Hollywood Magic Castle after Pop Hayden. And on the other hand, my father was a surgeon, and I understand that in times of medical sensitivity, doctors have reasons for the information they share around the operating table. But like most of the others in Brian's immediate orbit during his last days and hours, based on the latest essentially optimistic medical updates, I thought I would see my friend again and again. To quote Diamond Jim Tyler, I had plans for Brian that he didn't even know about. I suspect many of you did too. I wish I could have seen him in those hours to offer whatever small measure of comfort might have been possible in that lonely hospital bed. So I'll finish with the last life lesson taught to me by Brian Gillis. If your friend is in the hospital, visit him. Rest in peace, Brian Gillis, the best I've ever seen. And this is the best music partner you could ever have, Renee Safier.
Well, it's hard to follow that. I'm just gonna add a few words. When my husband Patrick and I came to the castle for that MoveOn.org event, Andy was talking about, we live maybe a mile from here, if that, we can walk here. And I had no idea this house existed. And we walked in and we were shocked and amazed. And it showed the film and the political event was over. And then all of a sudden magic began breaking out everywhere. And we were like, what the hell is going on here? And then, of course, the selfish thing said, hey, we could put on some really good shows here. And so that was the first time we met Brian and Sue. And then they came to a gig of ours. And within a span of probably 1 week, I'd never heard of Brian and Sue. And then they were all over my world. Do you guys remember that car they had that had their big faces on the side of it? And so it was Brian Gillis and Sisuephan. And I'd never seen that car ever. I've lived here for 25 years. And then I saw it every single day. And that's sort of how they permeated our lives, and we permeated each other's lives for quite a number of years. And as a lot of you come in, I'm kind of stricken by the fact that so many of our new friends never got to come to a party at the castle here. The Halloween parties were epic. And I'm looking at you over there, and your costume with the crazy eye and the whole, I'm remembering everybody's Halloween costumes and how much fun everybody had and how hard we worked to put them on. And so I'm stricken by those of you that missed out on that, and I'm really glad to see so many of you who were so big a part of all those events, New Year's, birthdays, Halloweens, all sorts of parties. So I know Brian is looking down on us really, 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 really happy that, and sort of upset that there's no monsters to scare you. One of the things that I thought about often when seeing Brian and Sue is that their world-class act was right here in our backyard, and we got to see it all the time. And oftentimes, when you know someone who's an artist and they're at the top of their game, you take them for granted. You kind of take it for granted that they're great. But every time I saw Brian do those tricks, I was just like, these people don't even know what they're seeing. Like, they don't even get how good this guy is. And I'm forever thankful for that. And one last thing, I think they say that you never really die until all of the people who you've met and affected die too, or them telling someone about you till those people are gone. So Brian Gillis may not be with us here on this physical plane, but he will live on for many, 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 many decades to come.
So one of the things that we'd like to do with the arc of the evening is we're going to have a number of people speak, and we're going to play some music in between. So you get a little respite from our yapping, and then we'll bring up somebody else. And we have a lovely video a little later as well.
Keep a fire burning in your eye. Pay attention to the open sky. You'll never know what will be coming down. I don't remember losing track of you. You were always dancing in and out of you. I must have thought you'd always be around. Always keeping things real by playing the clown. Now you know where to be found. Don't know what happens when people die. Can't seem to grasp it as hard as I try. It's like a song I can hear playing right in my ear that I can't sing. I can't help listening. I can't help In the end, there is one dance you do alone. Keep a fire for the human race. Let your prayers go drifting into space. You'll never know what will be coming down. Perhaps a better world is drawing near. Just as easily it could all disappear, along with whatever meaning you might have found. Don't let the uncertainty turn you around. Go on and make a joyful sound into a dancer you have grown from a seed somebody else's phone. Go on ahead and throw some seeds of your own, and somewhere between the time you arrive and the time you go, may lie a reason you're alive, but you'll never know.
Hey, is Kurt Macon in the room somewhere or outside? Here he comes.
Clumsy want to say, she told me to say thank you everybody for coming to my dad's party. And I want to say, Clumsy's been adopted by a friend of ours, a magician, who lives next door to Brian's building. His name is Chris Randall. And right now, Chris Randall is compete for the FISM, like one of the biggest magic competition in the whole world. He's right there right now in Korea, and who's adopted a dog. So you guys, like, pray for him, like, cross your fingers. Go Randall, go Chris. So this is Clumsy. So, God, there is so many questions coming at me, and I was not able to speak for 2 days. So I'm going to take a time to answer some of your questions, but not right away. But I wanted to tell you about my life with Brian. And yes, Brian and I met in December 1996. And I was with 3 girlfriends of mine. One of my girlfriends just broke up with a boyfriend. She was distraught, and we just tried to cheer her up, and we said, okay, let's go on blind dates. Okay. And then there we go. We went to Beverly Hills on a blind date. None of us liked our blind dates. And then we drove down here. And we stopped at a stoplight at Grant and Aviation, or some of you know, not too far. And just before we stopped, and we said, okay, Maxine, next time, don't go out with the young guy. Go out with the old guy, like that guy over there. And that nice Mercedes. And the driver, he goes, you want me to wave? We go, yeah, roll the window. We need somebody to buy us drinks. We don't have that much money. We roll down the window, and there you go, Brian. He was like perfect, right? We go, hi, so where are you girls going? Oh, so we're going down to San Greer. Okay. Well, San Greer is the place where they'll like drug your drinks, right? And okay, I go, we'll meet you down there. So I met Brian down there, and he did magic for us, and he stole my watch. I was like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing ever. I like, and then, a month later, we see each other a lot, and then he was living up in North Redondo, and he said to me, he said, you have too much of your clothes here. I go, okay, tell me where's my clothes? He said, on that shelf right there. I said, anywhere else? He said, no, just one shelf. And so I said, okay, I'll take my clothes and I'll leave. So a month later, and somebody said, you're so good, you should come and be a salesperson, sell liquor for us. And back then I was working in casinos, and I was just really good at talking to everybody. I go, I'm going to do magic, and that's how I'm going to win over people and go around and sell. I'm going to do magic. I called Brian up and said, you know what? I said, I heard that your friend, Mike Forbes, teach magic, and I want to, pay Mike Forbes to pay me. To teach me magic. He said, Mike Forbes doesn't teach. He said, I teach. So anyway, needless to say, we got back together. And so 2 weeks later, I was doing magic at the Magic Castle down in the dungeon. And yes, for Sisuephan and Roy. Right? And I go, oh my God, I'm doing magic with Sisuephan and Roy, the best in the world. And my heart was like going to jump out of my chest, and so I was like, I hate Brian right now, I hate Brian right now, I hate Brian right now. But, so I guessed the first kiss and the serial number. So the first kiss for Roy is Tito, T-I-T-O. I go, oh, your first kiss is Tito. He go, correct. And I go, yay! So, and then before that, going back, and Brian said, oh, you want to do magic? I go, yeah, I want to do magic. He said, you are perfect, because no girls want to do magic. He said, they try and they drop out, and they don't want to do it. And I said, what do I have to do? He said, well, you don't have to do a lot. He said, you just have to pretend that you are psychic, and you have to talk, and you have to be funny. And I said, but I don't hardly speak any English. He said, it doesn't matter. And then it doesn't matter. I said, what else I have to do? He said, well, you have to make yourself heavy. I go, how do I do that? He go, you'll do it. And so, anyway, what else? I said, oh, you're going to be blindfold on stage. And then you're going to tell people the serial number. I go, how do I do that? He go, oh, you'll do it. So it doesn't matter what I say, did it? So he hired a teacher. His name is Eddie Fields, one of the best in the world. You guys probably don't know it, lay people. But, he's very famous. Anyway, he came and taught me how to do it. And he was really, really old. He was 82 years old. And he came and spent 2 weeks with us. And all the magicians thought he was God. He said, oh my God, Eddie Fields is going to keep all the secret to Sisuephan and Brian, And so one night, Eddie Fields got up to go pee. And when he came out, he forgot which door he was supposed to go, and he fell downstairs. He was 82 years old, and then he said, how did you do it? He said, oh, but if I was younger, I learned how to fall. I was doing all these stunts. So when I fell down, I was doing my stunt. And he lived. And we were like, oh my God, thank God, because otherwise all the magicians think that we kill him. So fast forward from there, and we did magic. Brian, when you break into something like magic, Brian always said, Mom, when I grow up, I want to be a magician, Well, your mom would say, well, you can't do both. You can't go up and be a magician at the same time. It's really hard to make a living in magic. But Brian made it big, and I came in and I ride his coattail. I came in, I've been all over the world. I did the coolest magic show. I was going to tell you maybe 5 years in increments. I met Brian when I was 33. My 40th birthday, and Brian said, I told Brian, he said, where do you want to go? Where have you not been? I said, I want to go to Europe one of these days. He said, great, your 40th birthday, you are going to Europe. And I go, yes, I'm going to Europe. He said, what are we going to do? He said, well, we're going to go to Paris. we'll spend a couple days in Paris, and we're going to go to Nice, we're going to jump on a cruise ship, and we're going to go to Monaco, we're going to go to Formula One race, and we're going to be in the best apartment, we're going to see all this crash and stuff, and after that we're going to sail to Florence, and then we're going to go to Rome, and then after that we're going to go to Canada, Ontario. And I go, that's odd, why would we go there after all that? Well, because we have a gig there. So we had a gig. So our gig was going on a cruise ship with 90 people, 30 people are passengers, and then 60 people are crewmen. And those are the kind of life that I lived with Brian. For many years, I would never have done that without met Brian. And then we went everywhere. We went to Maui many times, we went to Kauai, and you name it, we went to China and everything. And one night, and I was so high, we did an amazing show in Maui. I got off the shows, and I was so grateful. And I think, Brian, I feel so lucky. So why did you pick me out of my girlfriends? There's 4 of us. Why did you pick me? He said, without missing a beat, again, because you have the biggest boobs. Yes, that was Brian. So Brian is the only person in the world I can share anything. I can tell him anything, and I wouldn't say, well, maybe 5 years from now he would not my friend anymore and go tell everybody. No, Brian was the one that I could tell anything to anybody at any time. And when he turned 50, he has to go to colonoscopy. And I say, oh, they're going to check out your asshole. And he said, no. Well, guess what? He said, your name never came up. He's so proud of that. And he told that quite often. We have this amazing life together. When I was 33, I was a single mom. My daughter was 11 and 12 years old, and I hated my job. I worked in a casino for 7 years, and I was surrounded by, gamblers, degenerates, and everybody was so unhappy. I'd be like 100 people, 2 people win, everybody else is miserable. And I was just there just to get a paycheck and whatever. And when I met Brian, and then he introduced me to this life of magicians. And it was just like totally vice versa, like night and day. Like 98% of people were nice instead of 2% was nice. And I was like, is this real? Everybody's just so nice. I mean, just like, and I just made so many friends on top of it. And one of our friends, after we did the show at the parlor in the Magic Castle, I don't know how many of you guys been to the Magic Castle. We did this show, and our friend, we just knew him, his name is Danny Sylvester, the cartoon guy. I'm sure you guys have seen him here. And he's very famous. He walked back to our stage, and he brought his friend, the amazing Jonathan. Yeah. And then right away we became friends. And from there, we made so many friends through him. And he was a big jokester. One time he got interviewed on a magazine. He said, tell us your best 7, practical jokes. And he told them 7 of them, 6 of them was on Brian. I'll give you a little example how far he goes. So there's a phone call came in and said, Mr. Brian Gillis, yes, we would like to hire you. We are in the Midwest, I don't remember what state it was. And my son is he's dying on a deathbed. And he wants you to come and perform for him. And that's what his wish is, his last wish. And I don't care how much money you need, and I want you to come. And Brian go, first thing he go, oh, that's amazing, Jonathan. He's putting another thing on me. So he called again the next day and the next day. And now it turns out it's real. So, what happened was Brian went to Rich. Rich was a computer expert, right? And then Jonathan got too rich before Brian got there. And tell him, if you checked it out, and tell him this is real. So anyway, Brian almost got on a plane. And to go entertain him. And on his birthday, Jonathan said, I'm going to blind for you. I'm going to surprise you. And we're going to go to this amazing restaurant. We drove around town. We came back. We opened his blindfold up, and he was in his garage. I could go on and go on. I'm telling you all this, but just like the amazing life. It's not just things or not just magic. It was just all the fun that we have together. And Brian never wanted to talk about the future. He wants to live in the moment. Whatever he wants, he gets. And we had, one time we actually had a Rolls Royce. Yeah, we had a Rolls Royce, and I drove it to the 99-cent store. And the old lady came out and took my picture, and they go, what are you doing in the 99-cent store? And I go, because I'm broke.
So good.
So, at one time, Brian, he would buy anything he wanted. And he would buy cars after cars. And I'm telling you this because it's great. Because he had everything he wanted. And he never wanted to talk about the future. Every time I'm from Laos, and I was thinking about the future. What happened? He'd go, oh, you think too much. Be quiet. Don't think too much. And so one time, I was sleeping. Brian called me up and said, come down here. And I'm very forgetful. And I thought, oh my God, I left the garage open. Maybe they stole all the magic in the garage and came down here. And he said, hi. He said, oh, you awake? I go, yeah, I'm awake. What's going on? He said, you see this car right here? He said, that red car, you would look really good in it. And I go, why would I look good in it? He said, because it's your color. And I said, okay, what would it cost? Because it would cost like $430 a month. You pay your car $330 a month, but you're going to save $100 a month, and you'll be even, and you have a brand new car. And I said, okay, how many months do I have to go? He said, 60 months. And I go, how many more months do I have to go in my car? He said, 1 more month. I go, okay, well, have a good day, I'm going back to sleep. So I look at the corner of my eyes, and I see this guy hiding behind a trash can. I go, who is that guy hiding behind the trash can? Oh, it's the car salesperson. I said, why is the car salesperson hiding behind the trash can? Because I told him you are mean, and you're going to stop throwing stuff. And I said, Brian, I said, sir, you can come out now. And I still remember he's a skinny guy. He come out, he's looking at me. He's like, I said, okay, goodbye. I said, I go back to sleep. I'm saying all this because Brian had everything he needed, everything he wanted. He had it all. And he had all these beautiful girlfriends. Including me. We could say anything to anybody. He said, and you know what, after you, he said, my next girlfriend was 10 years younger than you. And then he had another one, he said, oh, now she's another 10 years younger than you. And I go, oh, okay. And oh, okay. But Brian, and then, of course, and who else is here is Naji, our long life photographer friend. He's an official photographer from the Magic Castle, and he's shooting all the time. And he's going to tell you a mini story, a fun story. And then after that, of course, we met Andy and Renee, and they came here and a political party called the MoveOn.org thing, or the Truth by Record War. And we became friends, and then we started to follow them. And we went to Sport 4, and of course, we meet all of you, and we met so many friends through Brian. We have so many parties here, as you know, the majority of you have been here. And we have so many good parties until the neighbors got mad after 10 years. And the cops would come and knock on the door, and they go, "We want to speak to Sisuephan." Oh, come on, Sisuephan is not an easy name, but if the cop can say Sisuephan, you are in trouble. No, we don't want to talk to anybody. We want to talk to Sisuephan. Out there. Anyway, but out of all of this, I want to say thank you so much, because we did so many great parties, but a lot of that money went to children. We did fundraiser to Haiti, to children of Laos, and all of that. And so it's not just having fun and getting drunk. We did some good stuff. Yeah. So I had to cut it short because Brian started yelling up there. He said, "Be quiet, stop." But I had the microphone too long now. But I wanted to tell you what happened leading up to Brian, because everybody asks, is it a certain thing when it all happened out of nowhere? Because I couldn't answer all of that, because the first 2 days when Brian passed, I cried so much, I felt like my eyeballs gonna pop out of my head. I couldn't speak, and I didn't answer a lot of phone calls and stuff, I'm sorry. But what happened, Brian started getting sick about 5 years ago. And he was hospitalized at a Little Mary company, and they say he had some sort of heart defect, and he called it a heart murmur. And so he was there for 2 days, and then we were being very careful when he's dying, all that stuff, and the stress and all. And that's the reason why he moved to Hollywood, because he didn't want to stress over the house payment. He wanted to make it simple. He wanted to move to Hollywood, and he wants to just go do magic and be happy. And he did, for his health. And another time, he was on a date, a lunch date at Santa Monica Mall. He told me that he was dating with this really young woman in the Magic Castle, and he couldn't breathe, and he called the ambulance, and the ambulance came, and they asked him, "How old are you, sir?" And he said he didn't want to tell him. He finally told him, and she got freaked out. That's my grandpa. You know how far Brian would go to impress a woman. So, and then, every 6 months or so, he had a lot of issues. And then just before the Dylan Fest, last May, Brian had a heart attack. And it was very, very serious. Fortunately, he lives like less than a couple blocks from the hospital. And so they got him in 2 minutes. And he went to the hospital, he stayed like a day and a half, and he got a stent. And we go, "Oh great, he got a stent, so now he's got a new life." And he goes, "Oh, I feel better." And the next day he said, "I don't feel better, I don't feel good," and all that stuff. And so he's been struggling. He had issues, and I did a show with Brian a year ago in Palm Springs, and really big corporate shows. And as you know, we do 2 birds an egg, and Brian would feed me the information, I'd give you a little secret. But he was not able to do that. He would just stop in his track and try to form a sentence. But we got through it, and I thought, wow, that was going to be my last career with Brian. And 3 days later, he did a show in Magic Castle by himself, and he killed. So, okay, what is hope? And maybe it's just a fluke. And it got worse, and so going back to the heart attack, he got a stent. And then they also told him that his liver is really, really bad, like a stage 4. He also had to be on diuretic after the surgery. And they said, come back, we're going to put 2 more stents on for you. And he went back and he said, no, we can't do it because your heart is too much, there's too much damage. I said, we're gonna have a panels of doctors and see what we can do for you. And they said, well, you have to have a heart surgery, triple bypass, and change one of your valve. And he didn't have a choice. Said you can have a heart attack at any time. And he said, okay, I will, a lot of people told me they have a triple bypass and they live another 10 years, 20 years. So I'm gonna try. But they say it's gonna be a high risk because Brian has been on a blood thinner for many, many years. Because I know it because I saw it with my own eyes because his best friend Craig, who's been with him on his side for the last year or so, his best friend has seen him like 5-6 times a week and with him all the time. And Craig said, on my birthday, we're going to have everybody teeth clean in place of Sisuephan. He said, we're going to have teeth clean. We went got our teeth clean and Brian bled for 2 hours. So I got really, really scared from that. And so since I saw that, leading up to the surgery, so he was supposed to go to the surgery not last Friday, the Friday before that. And Craig was supposed to take him to go get a test done and all that. And I knew all that. And the next phone call, I got called early in the morning. He called me crying and I couldn't make anything what he was saying. And so Craig got on the phone and said, Clumsy is gonna die. So, no, Humpty, I'm sorry, Clumsy's right here. Humpty is our beloved dog, and we adopted him when he was 6 months old, and he was 17 when he passed. So, Clumsy died that morning. Humpty died that morning. I'm so sorry, Clumsy. I had too much to drink. So, I'm sorry if the story is long, because I don't know how to tell it any shorter. So, and everybody's asking. Because Brian is very secret with his health, and he was such a Peter Pan. He doesn't want to tell anybody. But I'm telling you because it's important to tell. And just because you love him, you all want to know what happened to Brian. So that morning, I took Brian from places to place to get all the tests done. The surgery was supposed to be on Monday. He cried the whole time. He barely walked from a building to building. We were done at 2 o'clock. I put him in a car, and he drove home to Hollywood for 2 hours. He cried all the way home, and he fell asleep in the car. And so I stayed with him Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Not just me. Craig Reiner was there, and his friend Kevin Curtin was there. And most of us was there the whole time, and I didn't leave his side. I was there with him the whole time. He said, "You can go home on Saturday night." He said, "You can go home and sleep." And I said, "No, I don't want to go home." I said, "I want to be here," because Brian was so brokenhearted over Humpty passing. And also, for the past 2 years, he got married, not last March, the March before. He got married to this girl named Annie Doe, and she's very, very young. She was 33, and Brian's twice at her age. But he's really in love with her. And the obsession over Annie was something we have never seen before. And he was so brokenhearted over that, and Humpty, and I didn't want to leave him alone. So we stayed with him, and he said, "When I got out of this, I want you to come and make me food, because you know how to cook very healthy." And I said, "Okay, we'll start with a green smoothie, my famous green smoothie." So I made him like 12 batches. And I said, "Freeze it." I said, "It will last you for 2 weeks, and I'll make you food," and all that stuff. And everything was looking up, except he didn't have Humpty and he didn't have Annie. The magic was looking great. Oh, they got divorced in September, August of last year, and she went back to Vietnam in December. But they were still talking. That it was really toxic relationship, but Brian was so obsessed over that, and he couldn't get over that. And I remember one time, after Annie left, we were at the bar at the Magic Castle. He was so distraught, he said like this. And I took his hand and I said, "Brian, I don't know what to do to snap you out of this thing with anything, but I can tell you this. I said, you never have to worry about your livelihoods. You can always live with me, and I will take care of you. I will take care of you. You don't have to worry about a place to live. You don't have to worry about anything. Well, whatever we got left out of it, I still have enough for you and me, and everything was good. So if you want to be sorry about anything, I couldn't help with everything else. But I can help you with, just your food and your house, and I will take care of you. Brian, it's like, I was not married to Brian. Brian was my husband. He was the closest man in my life. I've never been with a man that long. We were together for 8 years. And he was my best friend, and I feel like sometimes he's my dad, and sometimes he's my brother, and it's really confusing, the whole thing together. And, and years later, I go, oh my God, you dated Brian Gillis? And say, yeah. Because I think Brian's my, my dad, my uncle, And, but Brian is so loved. He was like his mom's favorite, and he's my mom's favorite, And he is so generous. When we started doing magic together, we bought a house for my mom and my daughter to live, and we've been all over the place. He was so generous with that, and my mom called him, in her Laotian way. He said the white knight on a white horse, and that was Brian's nickname. And every time I got in a fight with Brian, I'd go home and say, I'm so upset, and if I would tell my mom and say, Brian just kicked me in the head, and she would say, what did you say to him? It was not on my side. But with the illness and everything, Brian went into surgery on Monday, and we were like this. We sat there all day. He went in about 7 o'clock. We took him at 5:30, and he woke up at 5 o'clock. And we were like, because they say this is a very high risk, because he was a blood thinner. He could bled to death on the table. And there was some really things they were worried about. We don't know if we can. Well, I saw it in my own eye with the teeth cleaning, and I didn't know. I didn't know what to do, because we didn't have a choice. So Brian woke up at 5 o'clock. We were like, oh my God, Brian woke up! We were like celebrating. And I said everything looked great and everything going according to plan. And Tuesday came, everything still looked good, but he was in so much pain, and he's so much pain. He keeps saying he wants a pain pill. He wants a pain pill. And one of the doctors said, yeah, your chest was really, really tight. We had to do a lot of cutting, I'm sorry to speak graphic. But I think a lot of it because he was really fit with pumping all the weights and stuff. That's why he was so tight. And Wednesday come, and he said we have to sedate him because he was so much pain, because he just exerted too much energy. We want him to heal. And Wednesday, go to Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, they say it doesn't look good. But he said, we're not freaking out yet, we're working on it. So I went to pick up his brother around noon, flew in from Niagara Falls. He came to the hospital at 12:30, and Brian passed at 3 o'clock or so. And we watched the whole thing, and I had never seen anything like that. I have never seen anyone die right in front of me, and let alone my whole world. And I'm glad I was there, not just me. Clumsy was there the whole time, and she visited Brian every day, and he was really happy to see Clumsy. And Brian didn't have anything to worry about, because he didn't have nothing to live for anyone. He didn't live for anyone. He just lived for himself, and it was great. The only thing he was worried about was his dog. So I'm so glad that some of you donate for Clumsy, because some of this fund is going to be put in an account at a Homicide Animal Hospital for Clumsy, because she needed the care. And so if anything left over, then they're going to be donated. But with all of that saying, just besides the illness part, with the magic part, thing was looking great. When Brian come out, Craig and his best friend for a year had everything lining up for him. We were going to work for a coin company. They were going to have a coin made for Brian's pictures and name and thing. We're going to have one made for me. We're going to work for the coin company, and there was going to be 3 months of magic and all the fair for Brian and I. There was a bunch of stuff, and we were going to build a new act together, and we were going to have a big. Craig was going to rent a big like a loft or like industrial thing, and Brian was kind of fired up from there. And on Tuesday when he woke up, they were doing exercising. Take a deep breath, come on, work your heart. We're gonna go, we're gonna do this. But everything was good as far as friends, family, and magic was great. But he was so broken-hearted over Humpty, and maybe his love for Anna. And I don't know. But I don't know looking back, but you'll never know when we're gonna go. What I'm saying is that I want to say thank you for everybody. Don't feel bad for Brian, because he did everything, he had everything, and he went out on the top. Thank you, Brian.